It's time to cook with Susan Beck, and Easter's coming up, and I decided for my adult children's Easter baskets that I was going to make them bags of caramel corn. Well, I've already popped up my popcorn here. I've probably got about 12 quarts, so you can measure that out in a measuring cup if you're not sure what your popcorn popper makes. I am going to turn this caramel corn, though, into something maybe a little healthier. There's a lot of controversy out there about corn syrup, so I am going to use maple syrup today. We make our own maple syrup. This was just taken from trees that we tapped last month. And oh, it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous maple syrup. And we are excited to put that into our caramel corn today. We also grow our own popcorn. So if you can grow sweet corn where you live, you can probably grow popcorn where you live as well. So here are some of our ears of popcorn that we grew last year. I'm going to insert a little tidbit of information. If you grow your own popcorn, you need to let it dry. And then the easiest way to get it off the cob is to use this little tool. This one here is called a little stripper popcorn sheller. My sister-in-law gave this to my husband and I, and it's fantastic for just winding down the ear of corn and popping off all those kernels. Look how quickly I can take all those kernels off the cob. Well, that's just a little sidebar in case you're interested in growing your own popcorn. I will say I never thought I would be able to tell the difference. I know when I grow my own vegetables and things, I can just tell they're so much fresher and better than the things from the store. It's the same with the popcorn. It's just amazing. All right, anyway, back to our maple caramel corn. So let's make the caramel for our caramel corn. We're going to use 3 cups of maple syrup. I've already got 2 cups in there. Putting in 1 cup more. These are pint jars, so 1.5 jars will do the trick. I've got 3 sticks of butter going in, and I have 3 teaspoons of salt. Now, if you don't have maple syrup, just use the corn syrup. Word of advice, use a large pan for this. Use a bigger one than you think you're going to need. You do not want this to boil over. We're going to bring this to a rolling boil for several minutes, and then we will be adding some baking soda, which will also cause it to fizz up. Just another reason to use a large pan. Now that everything's melting here, it'd be a great time to get the oven set to 200 degrees. This will cook low and slow, baking in the oven, stirring every 15 minutes for a total of an hour's time. We've got a strong rolling boil. We're going to stir that constantly and let it boil for a couple minutes to break down those sugar crystals. It's time to add 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda. This will make it fizz. Notice the color change. All right, turn off the heat before that boils over. Look how my big pot was needed to contain all of our caramel. I've got my popcorn in 3 different containers, so I'm going to put about 1/3 of this caramel, our maple caramel sauce, onto each of these. Got a spatula here, a wooden spoon to get all of that goodness out of the pan. Time to stir that around and cover every kernel. Time to move it to an oven-safe baking dish. My roaster works quite nicely. There's usually a lot of caramel down in there, so I like my spatula for this so I can get all of that out. All right, there we go. We've got all of our popcorn ready to bake. And it's already delicious, but we want to bake that caramel sauce right onto the popcorn. As I mentioned, our caramel corn will bake at 200 degrees for 1 hour, stirring every 15 minutes. It's time to stir. It's been 15 minutes. Now this little tray is fairly easy to toss and stir. But I think with this big container here, the easiest way to stir this, because I have it quite full, is to put it back into some of my other pans. And this is what I do when I make Chex Mix or any snack mix. Oh, jalapeno pretzels too, is to put it back into my mixing bowls. And it's just a lot easier to stir. Plus, there's some good caramel down there in the bottom that I probably wouldn't get to if I didn't empty out the pan. All right, back into the pan it goes, and gather up all those kernels that we lost here as well. Now we're going to repeat this until it has baked for a total of 1 hour. We're down to the last 15 minutes of baking time on our maple caramel corn. So I am going to get a bag ready. This is just a brown paper bag from the store that I am going to lay all my caramel corn on to cool. I'm just going to cut it open here. Get it to lay flat. And we are all set when it comes out of the oven. Also, at this time, I'm going to wash up all my dishes. And you might think, oh, that's a lot. But you know, it's all just sugar. And get some really hot water in your sink, and it'll just melt right away. Simple, easy cleanup. Time to dump it out to cool. I'm not as worried about cooling the caramel corn that's in the cookie sheet here. That is already in a pretty thin layer, but we're going to spread this out and let it rest for a little bit. So I'm just bagging up this maple caramel corn and making some Easter treats for my family. So put it all in a nice Ziploc, adding a little Easter decoration to the front just for fun. All right, all of it that I'm not giving away, I usually just store in a Rubbermaid or Tupperware container that is airtight. So there's only one thing left to do, and that's to give it a taste. I just love caramel corn made with maple syrup. I don't know, it's just a little lighter, but definitely just as tasty. Give it a try. Look on my YouTube channel for this recipe and your traditional caramel corn.